Welcome, welcome, welcome to week two, day three. Today is April 8th, and I just also can't tell what day it is, what time it is, where I am, or just about anything else. Hope you guys are doing well, staying stimulated. My mental stimulation has been way down. I've been just kind of chilling and not changing my clothes that often. So there's that. Yesterday we talked about cattle trails, and today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about ranches. I want to briefly intro what we're going to ask you today, so make sure you don't forget to answer this question after today's video. If you owned a ranch, what type of animal or animals would you raise? Why? All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about ranching. First thing I want to talk about is yesterday we spoke about the trails and how they played an important part of Texas history, and the ranches even more so. After the trails became kind of obsolete because the railroads connected, they no longer needed to move such long distances. Ranches really picked up, and let me tell you why. Ranches gave great opportunities from those leaving east to head west, gave great opportunities not even necessarily to own your own ranch, but to be a ranch hand and get your kind of your feet wet in a new job or in a new opportunity. Remember, new opportunities were out west. So, owning or even working on a ranch was one that was very enticing. There are two main ranches. The two biggest ranches in Texas are Kings Ranch and XIT Ranch. Kings Ranch, look guys, literally they have their own Kings Ranch edition Ford truck. So in a sense that owning a truck means you're strong and you're handy and you're dependable and you're rugged. Owning a ranch or being a ranch hand back then kind of meant the same things. XIT, this is a Kings Ranch's website. They are massive. Let me read this for you. In 1853, Captain Richard King purchased a creek-fed oasis in the Wild Horse Desert of South Texas, sparking generations of integrity, preservation, and innovation. Kings Ranch now covers 825,000 acres, more land than the state of Rhode Island. Over the course of 160 years, King's Ranch led some of the first cattle drives, developed the Santa Gertrudis and Santa Cruz breeds of cattle, bred the finest quarter horses, and produced champion thoroughbreds, all under the iconic W brand. Today's King's Ranch is a major agribusiness with interests in cattle ranching, farming, which includes citrus, cotton, grain, sugar cane, and turf grass, luxury retail goods, and recreational hunting. King's Ranch continues to foster a culture of uncompromising quality, stewardship, and authenticity, a true testament to Captain King's integrity and commitment to the land. Those are the two major ranches in Texas. And like I said before, the development of the railroads in Texas provided ranchers a way to kind of not have to travel. It also allowed them an opportunity to slaughter, to refrigerate, and to ship more easily. In addition to those ranches, oh, by the way, XIT Ranch is here. I'll read you the ever so authentic and ever so legit, unless someone edited it, which gets switched back. I'm a big fan of Wikipedia. XIT Ranch. The XIT Ranch was a cattle ranch in the Texas Panhandle which operated from 1885 to 1912, comprising over 3 million acres of land. It ran for 200 miles along the border with New Mexico. Varying in width from 20 to 30 miles, the massive ranch stretched through 10 counties in Texas and at its peak regularly handled 150,000 head of cattle. That's nuts. That's like 75% of the population of McKinney. That is incredible. Though ranches had lots of head of cattle, you could have Mustangs, you could have different kinds of horses, different breeds. You could have sheep. I'm sure you guys danced somewhat like this when you heard that your 1 week break was all of the sudden going to turn into 6 weeks. What? Or close to. That's nuts. Um, Also, when ranching spread, I just mentioned those two ranches, 10 counties, 150,000 head of cattle. They got to be huge. They got to be all over the place. So they spread in the north, they spread in central Texas, and up in the panhandle regions. The diversity of ranching, like I mentioned before, was because of opportunity. Mexican Americans in Texas took advantage of the opportunity, and they worked as ranch hands, and some owned, as well as Black Americans. They were ranch hands and some ranch owners as well. Okay, African Americans worked as cowboys, trail bosses, and some owned their own ranches. So, now, ladies, listen very, very, very carefully, because I don't want you guys to miss this. These two ladies, Margaret Heffernan Borland, Noah Borland, no, spelled differently, and Elizabeth Johnson Williams are very, very noteworthy. Okay, it says some women participated in ranching with their husbands, while others took over their ranches or owned their own ranches. Let's take a quick little read about some of these ladies, okay? Margaret Heffernan Borland was a pioneer frontierswoman who ran her own ranch, as well as handled her own herds. She made a name for herself as a cattle baron and was infamous for her Texas Longhorn cattle that she took up the Chisholm Trail from Texas to Wichita, Kansas, with her 3 surviving children and her granddaughter. To date, she is the only woman in the history of the United States to run her own cattle drive and was considered one of the cattle queens after being widowed thrice, which means 3 times her husband passed away. And Lizzie Johnson Williams, another cattle queen of Texas. I think this is important, so you guys listen up because this is pretty cool. In the 19th century, opportunities for women in business, especially the critical cattle and ranching industries of Texas, were scarce. While many women fulfilled traditional roles dictated by societal convention, such as stay at home wives and mothers and teachers, others went against the grain and ventured into territory dominated by men. Lizzie Johnson Williams, the cattle queen of Texas, was one such woman who left her mark and literally her brand on Texas history. Born in 1840 to parents who were educators, Elizabeth Johnson, or Lizzie, came to Texas with her family when she was around 4 years old. They settled on Bear Creek in Hays County, where her father established his own school, the Johnston Institute. Lizzie became a teacher, societal norms, teacher after Lizzie became a teacher at her father's school after earning a degree from Chapel Hill Female College in Washington County. She went on to teach at various other schools in Lockhart Manor and Pleasant Hill area, which is present day south of Austin. By 1873, Lizzie had opened her own school in a 2-story house she purchased in Austin, located on East 2nd Street between Medina and Waller Streets, with the living quarters upstairs and the classrooms on the first floor. So some teachers did live at school. Johnson continued teaching, but as a means of supplementing her income, she contributed stories to Frank Leslie's Illustrated Weekly, a popular national magazine. She also worked for several local cattle barons, keeping books and learning all about the cattle business. She saw firsthand the money to be made, so she began investing in both land and cattle. On June 1st, 1871, she registered her own cattle brand, and on January 21st, 1878, she received a patent for a preemption grant, 1860 acres located of Hays County. What followed was remarkable for a woman of her time. Lizzie Johnson accompanied the men who drove her cattle to market. While she was not the only woman to operate a ranch in Texas, she is believed to be the first woman to drive cattle up the Chisholm Trail under her own cattle brand, thereby earning the title Texas Cattle Queen. She repeated this journey several times, which was no small feat considering that it would have taken at least 2 months to get her herd of longhorns up the trail. In the late 1870s, Johnson met Hezekiah G. Williams, and the two were married on June 8, 1879. Determined to keep her business and money separate from her husband's, the pair signed a prenuptial agreement that provided Johnson sole ownership over property she purchased prior to their marriage, as well as any income she earned during their marriage. This is a smart woman. Together, they would drive their 2 herds up the Chisholm Trail, all the time keeping her cattle separate from his, and even stealing some of her husband's unbranded cattle and adding them to her own herd. Yet another piece of evidence women are smarter than men, I swear it. In addition to her prowess in the cattle industry, Johnson had a talent for real estate speculation. She owned property in several countries, including several small ranches. She also made numerous valuable investments in Austin. Her first purchase was a building once temporarily home to the Supreme Court in Texas, which was valued at $50,000 at the time of her death. Lizzie's business acumen was as sharp as Hezekiah's was dull, and she frequently bailed him out of financial trouble. Therefore, in 1896, she bought out all of his holdings in stock cattle and land for $20,000. Hezekiah's troubles were not limited to the United States. While negotiating a cattle deal in Cuba, where the couple owned land, Hezekiah was taken hostage. Lizzie paid $50,000 in ransom money to his captors, once again coming to the rescue of her husband. We're almost done. Hezekiah died in 1914, and after Lizzie was never the same, allegedly, upon the $600 bill of Hezekiah's coffin, Lizzie wrote, "I loved this old buzzard as much." She lived out the rest of her days in a small apartment that was part of a large building she owned on Austin's Congress Avenue. It was said that she lived an eccentric life, largely keeping to herself. She died on October 9th, 1924, and is buried in Austin's Oakwood Cemetery. While sorting through her personal belongings, Lizzie's heirs found a large collection of valuable diamonds, jewelry, cash, and silk gowns stashed away in various locations on her properties. The citizens of Austin were surprised to find out that when she died, her wealth in cash, property, and land holdings totaled nearly $250,000. Guys, that is so much money back then. Lizzie Johnson Williams is an enduring example of a woman breaking through societal constraints to achieve success, both professionally and financially, in a field dominated by men. Her legacy as the cattle queen of Texas survives today as a significant figure in Texas history and as a pioneer in the cattle industry in Texas. So, ladies, don't think that you are just shoved into one line of work. Do whatever the heck you want. You've earned it, all right? Take it from Lizzie, doing something that no woman had ever done before. 2-month trail. Are you kidding me? Set your sights out, okay? Focus, work hard, and don't let anyone tell you that there's something that you can't do because you're a woman, because that's a bunch of nonsense. All right. So, why were these ranches in North Texas able to grow to such size? It's simple, guys. Texas is huge. And remember, there were not that many people that back then that were there, okay? The natives had been eradicated. They'd been pushed further and further and further west. And Texas is just, it's a massive, massive, massive chunk of land. Even to this day, there are large swaths of land that have no people whatsoever, okay? So, I hope you guys enjoyed learning some stuff about ranches. I hope you guys, specifically you ladies, enjoyed listening and learning about these women. Remember, answer this question. If you owned your own ranch, what type of animal would you raise and why? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. See you later.